Today is a special day, the 12th day in the 12th month of 2023. Good morning. Welcome to Business Morning. It's 55 minutes of current and relevant business conversations with me here, Amy John McQuay. You're welcome to the program. And we'll start in the global space, telling you what's going on with commodity. For global oil now, prices ticked up on Tuesday as investors played cautious ahead of key interest rate decisions and inflation data releases. But concerns over supply surplus and slower demand growth kept a lead on gains. Let's look at the board now for the prices. In numbers, Brent is at $76.29 for a barrel, and that's after going up 0.3% this morning. WTI from the United States is $71.58 a barrel, and that's up 0.4%. Now, let's tell you the factors affecting prices this morning. United States Consumer Price Index report is due today. You know, they're hours behind, so I will still expect it later on today. While the Federal Open Markets Committee, a two-day monetary policy meeting, will end tomorrow, where we would know the decision of the MPC, and that, of course, will determine a lot, movement of a lot of commodities in the market as well as investors. The U.S. Federal Reserve is widely expected to hold rates steady, but the November Fed minutes showed that policymakers were still concerned that inflation could be stubborn, leaving the door open for additional tightening if needed. Also providing a lifting to oil prices, a cruise missile launched from the Houthi-controlled Yemen. It struck a commercial chemical tanker, causing a fire and damage, but no casualties, thankfully. This is according to U.S. defense officials. The strike is one of the latest attacks by the Iran-aligned Houthis against ships in the Red Sea. Meanwhile, oil investors remain skeptical to total supply will drop after OPEC Plus group pledged to cut 2.2%. We know that a major driver has been the drop in demand, especially in countries like China in recent times. Going to the grain space now, we see that Chicago wheat futures on Monday slipped further from last week's 4-month high as speculators held onto bearish positions despite the strongest run of U.S. wheat sales to China in years. Soybeans regained ground. Let's look at the numbers right there. Soybeans dropped this morning 0.5% at $13.11 a bushel. Wheat also dropped 1% at $6.25 for half of a bushel. In other crops, CBOT was also moved, and the USDTA, that's the United States Department of Agriculture, they cut their production forecast for Brazil's next soybean harvest by 2 million tons to 161 million tons. Now let's head to Dubai now, where it seems action closes out today on maybe a controversial note. I don't know about that, but we have a correspondent who's been there since the beginning of this. Ayola Kasim has been right there. Ayola, well, good morning from Nigeria. I think it's good afternoon from Dubai. It's about 1 p.m. right there, yes? Okay, seems Ayola isn't ready. But she sent in a report yesterday about a controversial draft, which seems to be an unfortunate way to end the meeting. That's the COP28 meeting. Let's take that report, and hopefully after that, Ayola will be ready to join us.
No objections. It is so decided.
It seems like ages ago when there was euphoria across the Dubai Expo City after countries approved the Loss and Damage Fund on the first day of the conference. After 12 days of talks, it is back to the bitter fight of getting polluters to pay and agreeing on what the world needs to reduce warming. There has been marathon negotiations on whether to agree for the first time to phase out the world's use of carbon dioxide emitting coal, oil and gas, the main source of warming emissions. Fossil fuel has even made an appearance in the draft, but it was the need for an increase in financial flows to developing countries who are suffering from the impact of climate change the most that has gotten some agitated.
COP28 generated a paltry $156 million in pledges for adaptation finance. And this is compared to the billions of dollars pledged for mitigation-centric initiatives. And this falls short of the pledges made in Glasgow to double adaptation finance to $40 billion annually. It has become evident that developed countries are using delaying tactics to avoid fulfilling their commitment to provide the necessary climate funds for effective adaptation action.
A good deal on the global goal on adaptation will also provide a support for poor countries to develop without polluting the world like rich countries.
We will not solve the problems of equity in relation to climate only with climate finance. That is the reason why I've been advocating for reforms in international financial architecture, for effective debt relief mechanisms, and for, as I mentioned today, the increase of capital and the change in business model of international multilateral banks in order to make sure that much more resources are available for developing countries in order not only to meet their objectives in climate action, mitigation, adaptation, but also to address the dramatic financial situation in which many of them are.
I declare open the 5th meeting of
The COP presidency wants to end this conference in less than 24 hours. The president confirmed that there is still many gaps to be closed when the first part of the closing plenary commenced on Monday evening.
Esteemed delegates, yes, we have made progress, but we still have a lot to do. You know what remains to be agreed. And you know that I want you to deliver the highest ambition on all items, including on fossil fuel language.
The new draft is set the stage for the next round of negotiations when contentious issues will be discussed. Many fear this may force an extension, but at the end of the day, everyone left here just want a good deal that is good for man and planet. From the venue of COP28 in Dubai, Ayola Kasim, Channels Television News.
Well, Ayola Kasim is still at the venue of the COP28, and she was supposed to join us at this time. Seems we cannot reach her to give us some concluding thoughts after she filed in that report last night. Oh, okay, I hear she's ready. Ayola, we've been waiting for you. I guess you're following up with all that is happening. I hope you're not caught up in this controversy draft and all of that. Good morning or good afternoon from Dubai, you would say.
Good morning, or good afternoon from here. Yeah, as you said, yes, we were just part the African group of negotiators. They just finished press conference on that. So we're just rushing from the other side to this side, and then I was just bounced from my stand-up position, so I had to use this place. The thing is, we are not getting what we want, so they are saying no. That is what the African group of negotiators just said now. They said that the global adaptation goal, the remark that they have that the outcomes has not addressed what they want. So we are not going to have it's as if we're going to, it's supposed to have closed about an hour ago. So it's a long drawn, about 2 hours ago actually. So it's still dragging on. We are not having what they want, and they're saying that we are still going to remain here till they get what they want. Hopefully we'll do that because, today is the last day, and what happened is people, they book their flights, their countries can't afford to stay, for them to stay longer. So hopefully something will happen and something good will happen for the African continent.
Yeah, so I know it's something you've been reporting. It's very connected to climate financing. You have about how much already in the fund. Accessing it is one thing. So what exactly do they want? And what are the options available? As you noted, the conference ends today. People have their itinerary, their logistics, their hotel, their transportation, tickets, and all of that. So something obviously has to happen. What are the options available, and what exactly do they want to see if they have to be happy at the close of this event?
They just want money. The bottom line is money, is what you are talking about every day here on Business, Business Incorporated. I mean, business. They just need money. So far, we've had about $3.9 billion committed. Everything at the COP28. So we've had that, and then more people are saying that, oh, we're going to commit. But the problem is there's something called adaptation fund and then the mitigation fund. So what they're saying is stop dividing the money. Let there be a separate fund for adaptation. See, don't commit what you've committed for mitigation and now want to move it to adaptation. Say no, it's a fresh pledge. That's what we need. They want people to do about 4 main targets here that they want people to do: infrastructure, food systems. So those are the targets that they've set for them. And they said for us to move from where we are to where you want us to be, it costs money. And even the UN Secretary General is saying that. So the money that we have is $3.9 billion that we have. Yes, it's $3.9 billion that people are committing that they've raised so far. They're saying it's not for adaptation. So they want a clear-cut rule in the negotiation text saying how adaptation will be taken care of. That's why we are now in it. And then, of course, there's some other the small island developing state. They're saying that you have to use the language. There's a language: face out fossil fuel, not unabated. Face it out. They're saying the language is weak, so it's more of language now. People are not seeing a strong language that is committing member countries to the negotiation, to the agreement. So that's why they're dragging this out as of now.
Yeah, I wonder how this will end, because, I mean, when they say phase out fossil fuel, we know that has a lot of implications. I don't know, I mean, even the UK, they had to reduce their determination, to phase out fossil fuel. Countries like Germany and all of that, with the war going on in Ukraine, had to go back to coal. So, I mean, it sounds really difficult in reality. But how do you see all of this ending? Because the conference has to end. Is it that we will postpone it to COP29 and say conversations will continue next year or something?
For almost 30 years, conversation has been going on how to reduce emission and how to reduce the global temperature rise. So, and then you mentioned next year, COP29, they've just yesterday night, Baku, that's Azerbaijan, there's going to be conversation there about this. On COP30, people will go with their national determined contribution, again, saying this is what we're going to do to reduce our emission. There's going to be a new set of commitment that is in 2025, that's in Brazil, the Amazon. So right now, what they need to do for this to be successful, okay, the COP presidency sent a high target for himself. He said to us that, it's going to be at par with the Paris Agreement. Paris Agreement was in 2015 was when countries came together and said that, we're going to limit emission to 2 degrees, between 1.5 degrees and 2 degrees Celsius. Everybody bought into that. So they set up targets and set up how to get pathways to go there. So we've been working on that. And we're taking stock take. We realize that, on this pathway that we are, temperature is not going to be 1.5 degrees. We are on a pathway to maybe 2.5 or even 3 degrees Celsius. So that's the pathway. So they want people to do more. Like, don't just come and be saying we're going to do. No. We want commitment here. So it looks as if, okay, first time we are seeing phase out, fossil fuel, the language of fossil fuel that they will use. If they don't use phase out, what will they use? Unabated or commit to reduce use of fossil fuel? Of course, as you mentioned, Western countries are still commissioning. You see, they're still spending money on fossil fuels, coal, oil, and gas. They seem, committing to that. So small island countries say that if they sign this agreement as it is as of now, that means they're signing off their grave, that their grave will be in water. I think that's what the representative from Vanuatu said. That is their grave. They're going to be buried in water. So the thing is, as the temperature is rising, the low-lying countries, they're going to suffer the most out of this. Even in Nigeria, we're talking about floods and all that. Even in Dubai here, a few weeks before we came here, there were floods. So that's what's going to happen. They need to see the language that says that. A firm language, not like we will or they are urging people. They said they want something that shall. When you say shall, everybody's excited, like, oh yes, that means they are committing to it, but they are urging, that means you are begging them in some ways to please do what is right, and they don't want things that we've been begging them since Kyoto Protocol, since Paris Agreement. We've been begging them, and the pathway that we are on now is not sustainable for most countries. Some countries are going to be buried before the end of this century, or by mid-century, they're even saying they're going to be buried underwater. So they want strong language in the text.
All right.
That's what we're saying.
All right, Ayola, strong languages, a battle of languages now, but
no.
Anyway, I know there are so many things. There was also the one about agri, but I believe you're going to capture all of that in your next episode of Earth File. So I guess we should ask our viewers, please watch out for Earth File. Ayola has a lot of information, especially from COP28, as she returns to Nigeria shortly.
Thank you. Nice talking to you, Ine.
Same here. All right, so I'm talking about the adaptation and declaration, especially on agri-food systems. Ayola was talking there about the effect of flood. And we remember last year how rice, especially rice plantation, was hugely affected by flood, closely connected to climate change. So, and then the festivities are here. Festivities are here. Again, it's the time for one major staple food, of course, is rice in Nigeria. And we know that the Lagos state government has been trying and working on efforts, sometimes collaborating with other states, to increase the production of rice. But looking at boosting food production generally now, what the sub-states are doing, we have the special advisor to the Lagos state government on agriculture, Dr. Oluwarotimi Fashola, joins us in the studio. Dr. Fashola, good to have you in the studio.
Good morning. Thank you.
So I don't know how much I've been following the climate change conversation, but obviously climate change is affecting agricultural production at this time. Any effort, any conscious effort by the Lagos state government, on that?
Yes, thank you. And climate change and rice particularly is important because of the fact that in many places now you have flood, and in other places you have drought, which are consequences of the climate change. And especially in Nigeria, we have a lot of flood happening in the southwest and south part. We have a lot of drought happening in parts of the north. And in areas that we hadn't seen much of flood in the north, we're also seeing flood, which is shrinking the rice land. The rice has a very good adaptation, but it does not adapt well to drought, and it doesn't adapt well to flood. Even though we do have flood-prone and drought-prone variety, these are not the varieties that farmers are planting at the moment. So the farmers are caught between the rock and the Blue Dead Sea, because they plant the normal variety and flood comes and wipe it out. They plant the normal variety and drought comes and shrinks their land. So these are issues of climate change that we need to mitigate against, and which we're doing a bit to work on. For Lagos State, our rice farmers are being introduced to rice, to varieties that are more prone to drought rather than flood. And it's an ongoing program that we have in the state, and that's one of the ways we're trying to mitigate against climate change for the state. Yeah.
So, and with Lagos State, I know then you were collaborating with Kebbi. I don't think that relationship is still on. Now you're working with private farmers. Is that what you're doing to boost, especially rice? You're very interested in rice, even though it's not just rice you do.
Yes, we had a collaboration with Kebbi to aggregate paddy for us and to process here. But that had to change at a point, and especially when Mr. Governor completed the big rice mill that we have, which is a 32 tons per hour rice mill. The collaboration had to change to involving other private sector players in paddy aggregation as well as in the marketing. So what we do now, because of the size of the mill we have in Lagos State, we need to broaden our horizon in terms of aggregating across the spectrum, across the nation, so as to meet the demand of paddy that the mill requires.
But you know, even when you had that collaboration with Kebbi State on, and then you had your rice, it wasn't really accessible. I can say that. I can say that firsthand. You know, so it's beautiful when we talk about these ideas, but it doesn't really make a lot of difference until the average, maybe not the poor person, but an average Nigerians can actually go to the market, bring out their money and buy it. I mean, then you have to book it, or you talk to somebody and things like that. And I don't think that's what the Lagos State government is looking forward to.
For the collaboration we had with Kebbi,
I mean, even then, when you had that, and then you had the rice from, you know, that period. I remember one Christmas, it was quite popular conversations, and people who could connect to the top were able to get bags of rice, not for free, but to buy it at reasonable prices. But I'm saying, even as at then, it wasn't something that I could, or maybe not me, an average Nigerian could walk up to a shop and buy it. So not to mention now.
I think we need to understand the mechanism and the demands for rice. For example, in Lagos, Lagos State consumes 2 million metric tons of rice per year. That is about 40 million bags of 50 kg. Now, 40 million bags of 50 kg can't be produced by any mill. There is no one mill across the state, neither from importation, that can make that. So it's an aggregate of different mills, different players bringing rice to Lagos. And because of the population of Lagos, Lagos now is about 25 million people, eating about a bag a year averagely, because of the high rate of consumption. Therefore, we have to understand the fact that it will be difficult for one entity to be able to supply the entire value chain of 40 million bags. We will have to understand the fact that we, as an entity, can do a percentage of that. So there will be other brands of rice in the system. At the moment, our target is to be able to do 20% of what we consume in the state from the rice mill. And that's the goal. The rice mill started in January. And right up till now, we've been able to increase our production from just about maybe 40,000 bags we did by the half of the year. Between July and now, we've done close to 50,000 bags, and we're still moving. And it's a process. Right now, we're ensuring that distribution go more to the people like you, if you could say. We're trying to reduce the amount of distributors that will hurt to people that are more community-centered, so that you can go to a community, say Daleko, K2, the K2 New Market, Imota, Ikorodu, Sura, to community markets that people can easily access, rather than give it to big distributors that will move it out of the state. Because it's a business world. If somebody, for example, buys from you, you are not actually in control how the person sells. So what we're doing from our own end is to ensure that we sell to smaller groups of people that will feed the community.
How do you do that? Because, I mean, this is business, as you noted. Yeah. You have a rice mill. Even though you're a government, it takes money to run and maintain that mill. So we understand that. So I come to you and I want you're doing how many bags now?
We're close to about 50,000 bags now.
And I said I can afford 50,000 bags.
Yeah.
You understand? So how do you handle that to meet your target customers at this time, according to you, community-based?
Yeah. At this time, no one can come. Well, to start with, government is not distributing the rice. It's coming. The Lagos Commodity and Futures Exchange are the mode of distributing. And the agreement we have with them that no single person will come and say, I want to buy a truck, for example. A truck is 600 bags. Rather, we will sell to direct consumers who want to buy a bag or two, or smaller groups of community market that are buying 50 bags to resell. In that wise, we can distribute to a larger audience than to smaller groups of major distributors that can move it out.
But these community buyers that you refer to, do they use the commodities exchange?
Yes, they do. Everybody pays directly to commodity exchange because commodities exchange are actually the ones that supplies the paddy. They're the one that aggregates the funds for paddy to be supplied to the mill. And the distribution therefore goes back to them so that they can offset the cost.
Okay, so I mean, it's how many days to Christmas? Today is the 12th, so we have just about 13 days to Christmas.
Yeah, that's right.
Less than 2 weeks. A lot of us are going to need bags of rice. Can these communities, I mean, the rice mill is in Imota, for instance.
Yes.
Do they get priority? Because it would be really nice if the people who are really down there, who really need this, a lot of elites can afford to buy the bigger bags of rice and unfortunately the imported rice, which is still dominating our market. But it would be really nice if, you know, the people down there can access our own rice. They'll feel a sense of belonging, especially people in the Mota community and surroundings, you know, where they see that, oh, this is our own project. I
can assure you that in Mota, Ekpe, Ikorodu, the closest community are actually buying buying Eco rice, because they'll have community markets in all those places. That I can assure you. Now, to the greater Lagos, anybody whatsoever can actually approach commodity exchange, can actually approach Ministry of Agri through the commodity exchange, to get to commodity exchange and buy as minimum as 1 bag. And for all civil servants and public servants, for example, we also have an outlet for them at Alausa that they just walk to and buy. So it's available. Now, for the greater good of the society, like I mentioned, Daleko, Sura Market, the New Ketu Market, all have distribution outlets that they can buy. You can walk up to any of those marketplaces I've mentioned and you can buy the rice.
Okay, all right. I'll try, but I think I'll be so happy if those communities, since the mill is doing just about 50,000 bags, that it would be a lot to ask for if you expect that to spread, you know, to Greater Lagos and all of those. I think feeding those communities will be a really, really big relief for the state and for the country. I can be patient, you know, until the mill can do more and spread to us.
I think I need to correct the impression. We are not doing only 50. I said we've done thus far. It's a continuation.
Okay.
Milling process, it's continuum.
Yeah. So
it's not what we've done in the last 2 months is what I just gave you.
It's 50.
And we're still continuing.
Okay, so for like December.
For December, there's still more. The mill is not shut down.
Obviously.
So we're doing an average of about 10,000
every day?
Every week.
Okay, every week.
Yes.
10,000 every week.
Yeah, so we
have
moving.
2 weeks to Christmas.
Yeah.
So we're expecting just about 20,000.
Yeah, roughly about that.
I'll be patient, trust me.
No problem.
I'll eat other things, maybe beans. But thank you so much, Special Advisor on Agriculture to the Lagos State Governor, Dr. Oluwarotimi Fashola, for your time this morning.
Thank you very much.
All right, so it's not just the Lagos State government that is working. Car importer Mikano Motors recently treated its partners, customers to a night of fun and entertainment with the launch of 2 cars into the Nigerian market, while also celebrating its first year partnership with Mikano Motors at its showroom in Lagos. According to the managing director of Mikano Motors, that's Mr. Ralph Hajdor, this partnership solidifies Mikano Motors as Mikano Motors' latest exclusive brand partner. And this is to foster a union built on innovation, excellence, and a shared vision for the future.
It's a gala night hosted by Mikano Motors to solidify and celebrate their partnership with Chinese automaker Mikano Motors. Gathered at the Mikano Motors showroom in Lagos are celebrities, customers, socialites to get a taste of what Mikano Motors has in store. The latest products are unveiled, starting with the elusive Shangan Unity as Shangan Motors joins the league of luxury car makers ready to compete with the likes of Bentley, Rolls-Royce and others. The car makes its way down the runway alone. Then comes the Shangan Unique.
Understand our African market. As you know, most of you here, you are banker, you understand our challenges to deal with foreign company. But really we find out Shangan is the brand we can rely on and we can trust.
So this is something that we pride ourselves in, quality and customer service. So whenever we say we're going to deliver something, we ensure it's done in the best possible way. When we're bringing in products, we make sure it fits the Nigerian market.
The Shangan team are also optimistic about the partnership. Tracy Huang, Director of African Region Shangan, confirms Shangan Motors is committed to producing quality products for the Nigerian consumer. Rolf Hader, Managing Director of Mikano Motors, identifies reasons for marking the one-year anniversary of the Mikano Motors Shangan partnership.
We decided to use the one-year anniversary of partnership with Shangan to celebrate 3 actual achievements that we made. First of all, it's the first year working with Shangan, being the fastest growing automotive company in Nigeria because of Shangan and Mikano partnership, and being the #1 car importer group into Nigeria.
The Mikano Motors team believes this partnership with Shangan Motors fits into their plans to expand operations to other West African countries, providing quality products and services.
Still watching Business Morning right here on Channels Television. Now to commodities space. I guess rice is also a commodity. I'll see what Dumebi has to say about that. Dumebi Oluwole, Senior Analyst with Financial Derivatives Company. Dumebi, I don't know if you heard part of our conversation with the Special Advisor at Greek, and we're talking about rice. At a time like this, we know that those staple food, they just come both for gift items and for consumption at this time. And we do hope or wish that we could have more supply so that the price will at least reduce a bit. But it seems import is still driving the FX factor, obviously, also speaking in there on the price.
I mean, yeah, you're very right about that. So imported inflation is at around, I think it's crossed 20% now from about 15% about a year ago. So clearly what we're seeing is the exchange rate pass-through effect to commodity prices becoming more stark, especially with the currency devaluing or depreciating by over 50% year to date. So clearly what this is showing is the more we import, the higher prices are going to be, and this is the festive period. But already we know that during the festive period, prices increase because there's increased demand, and sometimes, when there's lower inventory, we see that, suppliers would sometimes tend to hurt, they take advantage of higher prices, but really that's not what's happening right now. Everybody's trying to sell because demand in itself is not as strong as it was, before the pandemic, and even compared to last year. So people's wallets are significantly squeezed and strained. So we're seeing that change in consumer behavior, that price resistance coming into play with commodity market space. So, but thankfully, some other commodities like tomatoes, pepper are also declining, but not so drastically. But then again, better than what we'd seen earlier in the year. So prices are down just because of the harvest season effect, and we expect that to continue at least up until the end of December. So because this is the peak of the harvest season for those commodities.
Yeah, talking about purchasing power and all of that, maybe I don't know if you've experienced it over the weekend. I tried to use the POS, and I see they've increased their charges, and I asked them why, and they said there's scarcity of cash. When they go to the bank to go and get that. Last week we also had one of the executives of the association, Amban, also saying that it is actually difficult for them to get cash from the banks. And it just brings back a scary picture of what we had last year. Are we going to go back to that cash crunch? You know, I don't think we want to go there.
Of course we don't want to get. I don't think anybody looks forward to it. It was really detrimental to the economy at the time. So clearly, that fear and that panic buying.
You think that's what's driving this seeming cash shortage at this time?
So I would say you can think of it like a bank run, right? When panic just sets in, and even when there's really no significant issue happening, we just see sell-offs and panic buying. Already, it started off from the fact that we were supposed to stop using
the old Naira notes. And now the Supreme Court has given it?
Yes, but before then, that was already, before it gets to that point where the policy authorities come out to say, oh no, this is not the case, things were already happening behind the scenes. So in states like Kano, like Edo State, even some parts of Lagos as well, we're already seeing, people hoarding cash, going to the bank to withdraw as much cash as possible because of the expectation that, oh, old Naira notes were no longer going to be in use. And then we saw some POS merchants and even some traders refusing to collect the old Naira notes simply because they thought that it was no longer going to be in use. So before the CBN and the federal government could salvage it, it was already beginning to brew in other local communities before and in other states. So by the time the CBN had come out, the CBN did release like 3 press releases just to douse that concern. But I mean, not everybody is like us that we actually check what the CBN is saying, and before that would even trickle down to the POS merchants and to the petty trader in a market in Abia State or something like that. So clearly we're already seeing that
I can't imagine us having the same Christmas we had last year. It was really horrible. You couldn't buy a bottle of water. You had to do transfer, and then you now had issues with the platforms and all of that. And it's really, I wonder what we can do. I guess all we can do is to keep talking about it, so more people would hear and know we are running with the old and the new Naira notes, so there's no fear of shortage.
Exactly, and I think policy authorities as well, we need to do a lot more to sensitize and just put that awareness out there to tell people this is not the case. There's enough cash. There's no need to panic buy or hoard. Just go at his, go with everything. Move seamlessly. Just so that that panic behavior does not spiral into what we saw in Q1 2023. And the most important thing really is the detrimental impact on the overall economy, because if businesses begin to suffer due to this, it will definitely have an impact on GDP growth.
All right, and then what else do we have? We're looking at the domestic scene. I know you've said that demand seems to have improved compared to the beginning of the year, and prices are tapering, obviously, because the demand is not as much as expected.
Yes. So we're seeing that interplay, right? And this is exactly what would say is the supply and demand dynamics, taking shape in the Nigeria consumer market space. And right now, what we're seeing is, consumers are split between the two ends of the spectrum. So it's either you have money to buy these things or you don't. So yes, and it's quite an unfortunate thing, but I mean, it's understanding the dynamics of the Nigerian consumer market that has affected multinationals. We recently heard P&G exiting or stopping, it's on the ground operations.
Yeah, they're exiting. Maybe it's all in the language, I know, but I mean the bottom line is they're not producing here, so we don't have those. I mean, importing most of they say they're changing their business model. It's not so good. But anyway, thank you so much, Dumebi Oluwole, for your time this morning, senior analyst with Financial Derivatives Company.
Thank you.
Let's take a breather. We'll be back with more markets. Stay with us. Well, It's Business Morning, and it's time for the markets now, beginning with the equities market or the money market. Anita Edit has the details.
Yeah, good morning, Ini.
Good morning, Anita.
Yes, Ini. So it's another green day, and of course, today, 12th of December in numerology, where 12 days of Christmas. I heard you talk about rice.
Yes, very important.
Yes, and of course, rice is the staple for Christmas celebrations and Yuletide celebrations. So that's it. For the market, I'm dealing with the equities market this week for today. And of course, that market has sustained the green color. So we'll be giving you that details now.
All right.
Now, take a look at your numbers. On the board there, you see 0.18%, and that's higher than the 0.12% that we closed as of Friday. Don't forget that yesterday I didn't talk much about the market. So, but at the close of Monday's trading session, this is what we had: 70.14 billion naira added to the market. Year to date, the market is comfortably at 39.84%, very much close to the 40%. And then in terms of the all-share index, the all-share index is climbing straight almost into the 72,000 points. And that's a high for the market so far. And of course, for month to date, we're not too much positive, 0.4%. We also had the sectoral performance. It was a mixed board. If you take a look at the picture there, it was slightly mixed there, but the banking counter, which also did the magic for the market's trading sessions. We had 3 positive trading sessions last week and 2 negative trading sessions, but the market came out in the positive side. Now, but look at your board there. Banking counter 1.59%, consumer goods just a tad there, 0.03%, and industrial goods, while the others were just not in the too good side. Let's take a look at the activity chart. For the activity chart, we also saw a kind of a mixed picture there, but we still had some good news for the market in terms of the deals. But for the value and the volume, they were just in the negative terrain. Now, we'll be talking to equities market analyst Adedotu of FBN Quest Securities to tell us more about this market. Thank you for joining us, Adedotu.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone.
Okay, now, I'm sure you're very much aware about what I will call the jackpot of multinationals from Nigeria's economy. Recently, we had PNG, although PNG is not listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, but we had a number of companies that have exited the country, and we have about more than $335 million, or in Naira terms, about 310 billion Naira foreign direct investment to be lost in the market. How is this affecting the stock market and the economy in general?
Okay, thank you very much. The so-called JAPA, or perhaps exit of these multinationals from Nigeria, is sad, but of course the warning signs have been there, and they didn't just happen overnight. We all know about the old FX issues, how it's been going on sideways, and how this has actually affected a lot of businesses. Higher energy costs, it's really mind-boggling right now. It's a bit challenging. You would almost feel sorry for.
Hello, Abiodun, can you hear me?
Time, higher finance costs, and things always been there. And businesses will continue to react to goals.
I'm afraid that we may not be able to have Abiodun. We're having some connectivity issues at the moment, but maybe when we have him next time, we'll take him. Now, I was talking about the consumer goods sector, that the consumer goods counter we had on the market, we had the consumer goods sector was in the green, but at the moment, we're in the second trading day of the second week of December. We hope that the market will sustain this positive trajectory.
Yeah, well, and as you mentioned, the consumer goods sector, perhaps it will receive some attention, even though it has also received a lot of blows with the FX and then the exit of those companies. But thank you so much, Anita, for that market update. All right, let's head to London now and talk to Juliana, where the fear of inflation, is a major concern of the Bank of England now, because we've seen inflation dropping, and then there's the move by some companies to better the welfare of workers. So there are conversations of high pay awards and what that can do to the economy. We have Juliana joining us now. Good morning, Juliana. How big or real is this fear of the Bank of England concerning the impact of pay awards?
Today is going to be the final Monetary Policy Committee gathering at Threadneedle Street to decide on interest rates. We know that if we look back over the past 11 months, we started the year with pretty record low interest rates in the UK, and they've gradually risen successively. However, the last two NPC meetings, the deputy governors have decided to pause on interest rates, which are currently at 5.25%. We know that they're doing this because, of course, they want to bring down pretty stubborn inflation in this country. But unfortunately, of course, if it costs more to borrow, then there is a certain part of this country, particularly those who are mortgage holders, they carry the burden for the entire economy. So that's a huge headache. And in any run-up to a Bank of England gathering, there are always going to be indicators suggesting which way they could be going. And we've had one today, which is labour market data. It was released by the Office for National Statistics early this morning, showing that the UK labour market is cooling slightly. The actual unemployment rate remains unchanged at 4.2%, which, to be honest, if you look at the comparable figures across the world, I think we're doing pretty well, actually. It is still, believe it or not, a good time to look for a job in the UK. We still have over 1 million job vacancies. In fact, month to month, I think only about 44,000 people entered the job market. So on the one hand, that's a good thing. But on the other hand, I think what's caused alarm to some economists is wage growth, which has gone up in the 3 months to the end of September, 7.3%. And lots of this is to do with industrial action, which really took a grip of the UK at the end of last year. It sped on into this year. In fact, we've got train strikes happening this week, and that has pushed the government and bosses to push up people's wages because of the cost of living crisis. But then, of course, if you've got more money in your pocket, you're going to spend more, demand goes up, and so does inflation. So that is the worrying issue for the Bank of England, and there are some suggestions that perhaps because of that 7.3%, excluding bonuses, could lead to another hike. Currently at 5.25%. Will the MPC budge and make it higher? We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, we'll wait and see, Juliana, but it's always a difficult balance, you know. So there's more money in the pockets, or employees are getting more money, and then the fear of inflation also comes up. But we'll keep trying to juggle it, Juliana. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you at 1:30. All right, now let's see what the crypto market looks like this morning. Yesterday was a red. I wonder what color it has.
Yeah, so the color is somewhat green at this point.
Grayish green.
Yeah, it's mostly some pockets of green, but it's still we're still seeing profit taking at this time. But Bitcoin was able to recover, some of the losses after touching about 44,000. But if we look at the crypto headlines now, we see crypto exchange Binance has lost some market dominance there when it comes to crypto exchanges. It's down about 30% at this point, and we're seeing other exchanges like OKX actually, coming up at this time. But Binance still leads. But talking about volume, we're seeing that has dropped considerably at this time. And compared to the beginning of this year, it was about 55%. That was the dominance, that the market share that Binance had. But that has come down dramatically, about 30%. A lot of regulatory issues at this time. They had to settle the DOJ in the US, about $4 billion. So there's still a lot of regulatory scrutiny with Binance, and we've seen that impact how they do business. El Salvador set to launch volcano bonds for Bitcoin ventures in 2024. We're looking out for that. And Cardano has joined forces with IOTA for identity wallet launch at this time. Let's take a look at the market now. Let's take a look at how the market is looking. Okay, yeah, we see the Binance share there. 55% started in January, but down to 30% in December. 45% change. Talking about Binance market share with crypto, centralized crypto exchanges. Let's look at the sentiment in the market now. We see it's still a greedy market, 67 points. We're at 70 points for a while, but now we're seeing a pullback with that. If we look at the top cryptocurrencies we track, we see Bitcoin this morning for $1,533. So we're still seeing profit taking down 1.14%. Let's bring in my guest now, Rukewe Ojugo, financial market analyst. Great to have you on the show. Good morning.
Great to be here. Thank you so much for having me again.
Fantastic. So we're seeing some weakness now, profit taking with Bitcoin and Ethereum. Do you think the bull run is over, or is this just a dip on the way to the top?
Yeah, the thing with crypto and Bitcoin, Ethereum, is that it's always an interesting thing trying to watch the price action and predict where it goes to next. There are a few things that have been driving the recent rise. So we've seen things like the enthusiasm over the approval of spot Bitcoin ETFs to come in January. So if this were to come through in early January, this will also lead to more price action. It will lead it to increase, but no significant positive catalyst is going to occur before the end of the year. So what has to happen for Bitcoin to continue rising for the next few weeks or days is that we need to see more enthusiasm. We need to see more people want to buy Bitcoin. But between now and early January, it's hard to predict. But early January, there's a positive catalyst to watch out for, and that is the SEC in the US approving spot Bitcoin ETFs.
Right. And talking about December, do you see a Santa rally coming in the crypto market?
Crypto is a very interesting one trying to predict. It could go either way. So if I say there's going to be a Santa rally, there may be not. So it's hard to say, very hard to say at this point.
Yeah, definitely a very hard market to predict. Thank you so much for joining us, Rukewe Ojugo, financial market analyst. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Right, so if we look at the top gainers now, let's see who's topping the counter. We see KuCoin shares. That's a centralized exchange there, the native coin for the exchange, $12.65, double-digit gain, 27.99%. Celestia is also back in the top gainers counter, $12.34, 23.54%. We see the meme coin there on Solana's blockchain, Bonk. That's been doing pretty well. That's an ascent there, 16.42% at this time. So we see the top losers counter now. We see CRVs topping that counter, down 6.36%. So we're seeing single-digit losses. eCash, that's down there, 3.08%. So we're still seeing a greedy market at this time, but everyone's wondering if we're going to see a Santa rally in any of this markets. Talking about the NGX, talking about US stocks or crypto market. Is a Santa rally going to come? That's the big question.
Yeah, where will Santa end up this Christmas?
Right.
I think, Ladi, I know you would do this and do a little bit of recap to see if Santa actually came last year about this time.
If my memory serves me right, I didn't see a Santa rally.
Well, doesn't mean we won't have one. So.
Maybe a Grinch rally.
At least.
Maybe.
Yeah, because I know that was when we went from about 60,000 down to 20.
Exactly.
That's when we started this drop.
That was no Santa rally right there.
Well, let's be hopeful.
Let's see.
Ladi, I see at 1:30. So that's it on the program. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Well, we did more than 55 minutes today, so about 57 minutes of relevant and current business conversation, which we hope added value to your day and your conversations and decision making. Ladi Williams will be back at 1:30 to give you updates from the world of business. I'll see you tomorrow. God's grace. I'm Imi John Record. Go out there, make some money.